Hello, and welcome back
Hello.
to another episode of Iodrarune Fables. I am your DM for our first section, Avalon Willowbloom. She, her, or they, them pronouns. Um, the Curse of Tyr'Sol is the name of this segment, of course. Why don't we go around the table and y'all can introduce yourselves? Tiff.
Hi. So I'm Tiff. I am playing Laurel. Laurel is she, her. I am she, her, they. And that's it.
All right, awesome. Devin, who are you? Who are you playing?
I'm Devin. I am playing Cesario Figaro, a Water Genasi Paladin of Umberlee.
Absolutely. All right. And last but certainly not least, Vice. Who are you and who are you playing?
Hello, I'm Vice. I use they, them pronouns, and I will be playing Cricket, our little Kenku rogue tonight, who also uses they, them pronouns.
Fantastic. All right. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. For DM inspiration, who would like to give us a recap of what happened last time? And or the story so far, if you please.
I would like to this time, if I may.
Please.
Oh, you boss.
You have to do it in other people's character voices, though. I'm kidding.
Yes.
That might be a little bit difficult, but I can certainly try. So, we started off the trip. We went to the Threshold mine carts, and we paid the man to give us a ride through. We got some hard hats to keep, and we got to experience the ride through. Miss Laurel saw some larger spiders in the mines as we traveled. Once we made it to the other side, we made our way into a lovely little gift shop where we had found where Cricket had found a replica crown, and Cesario had looked through some shirts, and Laurel was cleaning up after him, of course.
Of course.
After that, we began to continue our road travels. A thunderstorm rolled in. Cesario was very much enjoying the rain, while Laurel and Cricket were a bit distracted by it. Cesario noticed a somewhat dry place for us to camp, and we went on our way to go ahead and continue our rest. It was generally uneventful for both Cricket and Cesario, but while Laurel was keeping watch, there was a wagon that crashed into a tree behind Cesario's tent. And then shortly after the crash, we heard the roar of a bear. We went into a little bit of combat. Laurel checked in with the individual that was in the wagon, while Cesario tried to lure the bear away with some rations, and Cricket tried to scare it away, but ultimately Cesario went ahead and took care of the bear, preventing an attack on Cricket.
Strategically leaving out the part where you attacked it with a firework.
Look. Yeah, you win some, you lose some. There was indeed a bottle rocket involved that may or may not have done some damage to the bear. But Cesario did land the finishing blow. And then Laurel invited the woman, I believe her name was Sarah, to the fire as we rested until sunrise. And we finished our long rest and we leveled up.
Yeah, you did.
Level 2. Level 2.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, take your DM inspiration, your hard fought and won DM inspiration, and we will hop right in there. Of course, you have noticed we are back on the island map, and we are on our way again. Sarah set off back toward Threshold with her one surviving bag of grain and a couple of gold that Laurel had given her to hopefully help her get back on her feet. And you guys set off towards Crossroads, which, of course, you learned is also where Sarah is from, although she sorry, her family owns a farm just outside Crossroads on the way in, which she recommended that you talk to them, the Harfeather farm, and just sort of tell them what happened, and they would likely be able to offer some assistance with your travels. Yeah, you guys are setting out on your way. If I could, one of you roll a d20, please.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn.
I'm gonna be honest, I
sorry.
didn't keep track of whose turn it was.
I apologize.
No,
Am I still at disadvantage, Avalon?
What's that?
Am I still at disadvantage for my rolls?
Yes.
Sadness and
The Voyager's Shrine did not like you.
15.
In the interest of clarity. So, yeah, as you guys set out, the ground is still relatively muddy. The rain the day before was pretty heavy. But it seems like the sun is coming out first thing in the morning. Clouds are mostly cleared up. It's a nice day for the most part. And you guys seem like you're gonna make pretty all right progress. As you guys are traveling, everyone roll me a... Whoop, that was further than I wanted it to be. Everyone roll a d20, please.
Just another straight d20.
Or not d20, I'm sorry. Everyone roll me a perception check.
Oh, good, it didn't change.
That is a 22 from Cricket.
15 from Laurel.
10.
Awesome. All right. Sorry, having difficulties with the stream view thing. There we go. All right. Awesome. So as you guys are going along, Cricket, you are on top of it. And you are keeping a heck of a lookout on your walk. Thankfully, you don't notice too much alarming. You don't see anything particularly worrisome. For a moment overhead, you do see the passing silhouette of a dragon, possibly? But just as quickly as you've seen it, it's gone. It seems like it was not even looking at the ground at the moment. It seems like it was just flying by. Your next day goes smoothly, and you find your place to bed down for the evening. We are going to go ahead and fast track just a little bit through the next couple of days of travel as you guys move to Crossroads. So I'm gonna say, just for the next day, someone roll a d20 for me, just to see how things progress. If you happen to suffer any more ill will on account of the weather.
I already did mine.
Yeah, you did.
Do you want a Cricket or do you want me to take it?
Nose goes, it's on you.
So...
A disadvantage.
You said
please,
disadvantage,
yes.
right?
Yes,
Yeah,
please,
there it
yes.
is. So what's a natural one get me?
No!
Something's
did
gonna
roll
happen
in
to
that
make you
one.
rethink your worship of Umberly, perhaps. No,
Debatable.
real quick, what's your max HP? No, I'm kidding.
20.
Yeah, your next day, the thunderstorms are back. It seems like it's a bit of a storm system kind of coming and going from the region. A little bit of a freak weather occurrence, honestly, just because, you know, it's weird for it to come and go, for you to have like one sunny day in the middle. But
The eye of the storm.
as you guys are moving throughout the day, somewhat stymied by the weather, can I get everyone to make a dexterity saving throw, please?
Absolutely not.
Boy.
Oh, sweet.
Use.
12. Like my lucky number in this game.
Nat 20 and a 17 from Cesario. Cool.
Indeed. All right, awesome. Sorry, getting back to my tab. There we go. All right, so unfortunately, well, let's narrate first. As you guys are traveling, you start to notice that the lightning and the thunder intervals are getting shorter and shorter. And just as you're beginning to look around for somewhere perhaps to camp, somewhere to take cover from this worsening storm, lightning strikes a tree very close to the road. The flash of light almost leaves you blinded for a second. The crack of thunder rattles through your entire bodies, and the sound of the tree exploding and splinters and chunks of wood flying everywhere catches you by surprise. Cesario, in his worship, is somewhat familiar with these sorts of things and manages to dodge out of the worst of it. Laurel, perhaps because of her sort of innate anxiety, perhaps of just being used to travel more so, also manages to get out of the way very swiftly. Cricket, unfortunately, does not dodge the worst of it. Give me just a moment.
Oh god, that's a lot of click-clacks.
It's because I didn't open my dice bag. It's not because I'm rolling 600 dice.
600 dice, go! Cricket, no!
It's okay, I have
Cricket
curiosity.
is reduced to ash.
There's just a single feather left where Cricket once was.
Cricket actually got struck by lightning, not the tree. No.
No.
Oh, that's 66?
No, it's not.
Lightning bolt.
Ideas for next time. No.
Oh no.
I will say, so I only rolled 3 damage, and I respect the dice. So I'm going to say that in respect of the nat 20 that Laurel rolled as well, she sort of instinctively reached for the smaller party member and tried to yank them out of the worst of it as well. And while a large piece of the tree is crashing into the road, it only catches like the end of Cricket's foot as they're being yanked backwards. And you take 3 bludgeoning damage from the falling tree. You got lucky on those dice rolls. That could have been worse.
You said 3 damage?
Yes, please. As the storm continues, let's say, well, is one of you looking for like a place to camp, or all of you looking for a place to camp? Oh, excuse me.
I feel it would be a good idea to like get camp before it gets too dark.
You're not wrong. All right, Laurel, roll me a perception check.
Oh, okay.
Can I have given her the help action?
Could you please?
How do you help her?
Just kind of helping them look for nice, dryish like bows of trees and stuff.
Yeah, you're a bit keyed into the rain and to wetness in general, which is a terrible sentence. You help. Laurel, roll your perception check at advantage,
Okay.
please.
18.
Great. Yeah, 18's real good for level 2 especially.
Yeah. It's much better than the 2 I would have rolled.
That's why you were like No. Yeah, so you take some time, get off the road, get away from some of the more precarious looking trees. The storm seems to be even worsening. In hindsight, I should have looked up some sounds, but that's beside the point.
next time?
You spy what looks like a cabin off the beaten path a little bit. You don't see any signs of much from the outside of it. It's like you don't see like a cart or animals outside of it or anything like that. It's just a small like shack off the road.
Oh, look, there's just some a little shack over there, a little shed, a place that we could take cover.
Take cover.
Yes, of course.
And Laurel will just kind of like wrap her robe over Cricket to kind of like shield them from whatever rain and stuff might still be happening.
Absolutely.
Cricket is still like shaking off the feathers and just like doing the head shakes over and over again to get all the rain off.
Yeah. All right. So as you get closer, it looks kind of run down. There are pieces of wood missing. It looks like years and years of various storms and such have really taken their toll. It doesn't look like anyone's touched this place in a long time, at least from the outside. Excuse me. But as far as you can tell, the windows are shuttered and the door is currently shut.
Oh, looks a little abandoned. Might need some a little bit of force to get into here, though. Are either of you fairly strong?
Yeah. I'm strong, but Cesario will walk up to the door and just.
Sure. So Cesario walks up first. Make me a dexterity saving throw, please.
Shoot.
Knives come at your head.
Stop spoiling! I told you that in
I'm sorry!
confidence.
11.
Okay.
Knives come at your head. I mean,
What is it with
Sadness.
your knives? You're not even the rogue in this one.
not this one.
Give me a second here.
Oh,
Okay.
it's trapped.
Patience. Y'all so suspicious. Y'all so uneasy.
Suspicious.
I heard the dice roll.
As you are walking up onto like the small deck, your foot finds a place where the boards have gone weak, and you sort of like slip into it as it cracks beneath you, and you actually take 7 points of piercing damage as the boards like dig into your leg, and you sort of fall into the new hole that's in the wood planks.
Oh, okay. I don't think it's supposed to do that.
No. Am I able to get myself out easily?
Yeah, you're not trapped. It's just you have you ever stepped into a hole with one foot so it kind of like throws you off balance? It's kind of like that. Like you didn't fall into a pit. It's just you stepped into the boards and they broke, and you probably
Feels
got a
like you
nasty
dislocated
gash
your
on your
hip.
thigh or a bruise, you know?
You didn't
Yeah.
need that knee anyway, it's fine.
What's that?
I'm saying, like, he didn't need his knee. His knee was superfluous. He has another one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's
You
a
have
little
two
known.
for every reason.
It's a little known biologic fact that you can lose one of everything you have two of without suffering any consequences.
Of course,
That's why
it's
you
fine.
have
It'll grow
two.
back. Yes, so that you have the backup.
Uh-huh.
We are
That's why your brain
terrible
has
role models.
That's why your brain has two halves.
That is actually kind of true, though, but we can go into that another time.
Look forward to our biology streams coming.
We will talk about
Possibly never.
neurobiology soon. It'll be fun. It'll be super exciting. We'll talk about like hemistectomies. Very cool.
Yeah. Sorry, will pull himself out of the.
Okay. Do
Out of the-
Laurel or Cricket do anything when they see Cesario sort of half fall into the deck?
Laurel will kind of like almost lean in, trying to catch him.
Cricket will laugh just a little bit.
Cricket will just giggle.
That's fair.
Honestly, that's fair.
You have been enjoying the rain just a little bit too much.
Party drama now about rain. Great. Yeah, so Laurel sort of helps you out a little bit after you fall in, and you take a closer look. Each of you roll, we'll call it investigation. Just as you sort of as you're moving around and near the house, you sort of examine for any further like weaknesses, that sort of thing.
That is a 16 from Cricket.
That's a really good 19 from Laurel.
Yeah, it is. Awesome. Cesario,
Sorry, what?
an investigation check, please.
Oh, okay. 11.
Okay. Cesario is a bit preoccupied investigating his wounds, so he doesn't spend a whole lot of time investigating the house further. But Laurel and Cricket take a closer look at the shape of things, and you feel pretty confident that you can find a safer path that, you know, relies on like the structural beams and stuff that line the floor, rather than stepping on the spots where they're weaker. You know what I mean? The load bearing. You found the like load bearing beams and such. You said Cesario was knocking on the door?
I mean, attempting to. Now he's checking out the wound on his form.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a pretty nasty gash on your leg, but it's not life-threatening or anything. It didn't, like, tag an artery.
Yeah.
You might have some splinters to dig out of your skin later, but aside from perhaps a limp, you likely won't have too much of an issue with it for now.
Yeah, then I'll knock on the door.
Okay. So you give the door a few good raps, and the sound echoes inside the house. You hear the sound back to you, and wait for a minute or so. You don't hear any sounds from inside. You don't hear any motion or voices or anything.
Can I see if the door is locked?
Yeah. It is. It is locked.
Oh. Cricket!
He was so disappointed.
Yes.
Locked. Not friend.
Not friend. Got it. And Cricket will go ahead and approach the door and attempt to pick the lock.
Please give me a Thieves' Tools roll. So just D20 plus your dex plus your proficiency bonus. You might be able to roll with it directly from your sheet, but I haven't really looked at that closely, so I don't know.
Oh, I can. That's a 14.
Yeah, I mean, while the door is locked and and that is, you know, something that you still need to deal with, it's not a very complicated lock, and it only takes you a minute or so, even less probably, to work the tumblers in the lock, and after 30-40 seconds, and you feel like you can just open the door if you want to.
After cracking the lock, Cricket will like look up and go, "Door friend."
Door friend!
Door friend, yeah.
I
And
will,
go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
oh, all you.
Cricket, after exclaiming that the door is now a friend because it is unlocked, will step to the side and kind of like swing the door open in like an act of showmanship.
Sure. Make me just a straight dexterity check to make sure you can keep your footing away from the weaker boards.
15.
Yeah, you have very narrow feet on account of your Kenku heritage, and you're very nimble. So you sort of straddle between the support beams and swing the door open. It actually adds to the bravado of it as you sort of like have a stance and you swing the door open. And before you guys, as you go in, it's worth noting. Well, actually, does Cricket pull out their like dancing lights via the dagger, or?
Yeah, I wanted showmanship. We're gonna get some showmanship.
Yeah, so you sort of straddle the board so you can stay steady. Swing the door open with one hand, and with the other you just sort of like gesture with the dagger, almost like it's a wand, and globules of light like zoom into the room and take up sort of posts around the inside of the shack. And as you guys are moving into the space, first thing you notice is a very old pelt rug. Looks like it's probably deer. It is sort of right inside the door. You see a very beat up bed over in one corner. Looks like it hasn't been touched in ages. There's a layer of dust everywhere on the inside of this shack. There's a small table next to the bed. The bed is just like a hay mattress on the floor with a like thin blanket over the top. There's a small table next to it that looks like it's probably just a crate that they're using as a table, or used to use as a table. You see a little book and a book and a key on that table. You see there's a cabinet over on the other side. It's just like a one-room shack, like a studio apartment sort of set up where everything's all in one place. And all of the other sort of signs that someone lived here at one point, although it looks like no one's been here in years. Yeah. There's sort of a little like armoire and the other sort of accoutrement that someone lives here.
So Laurel just kind of peeks inside. Is it like a layer of dust on everything, or is it just
Yes.
kind of?
Yeah.
All right. And so she'll kind of like gently touch it with her fingers, and like rub her fingers together, like,
Oh, well, it's dry.
Yeah. I mean, there's a leak in one spot where water is dripping down. And a bit of a clip.
It's mostly dry. But Cesario can have that spot over there.
Lays under
Cricket
the,
just nods so largely.
Wow. I wanted that spot anyway.
You're barely not a fish. It's fine. Awesome. All right, so you guys just sort of bed down for the evening then?
Yep.
Really good idea.
What's
Instead
that?
of a watch.
Sure. Who's taking first, second, and third?
Laurel will always ask to take last watch, just because of her patron or guardian or deity, you know, that thing.
Yeah.
Cricket is fine with first or second.
I can take second.
All right.
Cool. All right. Cricket. As you set up for the first watch, roll me a perception check, please.
Will do.
Dang.
I didn't mean to roll it twice because I rolled it with advantage the first
you
time
rolled
on
with
accident.
advantage.
Roll with advantage.
Give me a
Yeah, so I
second.
re-rolled it.
No, I'm gonna look at the first number that rolled when you rolled with advantage. It was a 12. 12
Okay.
plus 3 plus 2, so 17. That's basically.
Sorry, I had like 2 separate pop-ups and I got confused.
No, you're good. You're good. All right, yeah. So you set up your little globules of light, sort of bob slightly, looking like little dragonflies in the corners of the room. You don't notice anything untoward. You hear the occasional like owl hooting outside, or rustling of like trees or branches as something moves around in the night, but nothing bothers you guys, and you don't notice anything dangerous. Is there anything you want to try to do while the other two are asleep?
I think so. Cricket is taking a watch from the inside right now,
Sure.
in a way, right? Cricket might either, if there's like a window, crack the window open just to hear outside a little bit better, or during the watch might even like open up the door and just take a look around to make sure there's nobody like waiting to surprise us.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Go ahead and roll another perception check, just as you peer into the night from the doorway and look more concretely into the wilds. Roll another perception check for me.
That is a 21.
Great. Yeah. You see the occasional nocturnal creature move, but nothing seems to come toward the cabin. It doesn't seem like it's of interest to most of the creatures of the night. Yeah, your watch passes without incident.
Fantastic. In that case, I think Cricket is going to go wake up Cesario as they always do. Just kind of hop on over, do a little bit of a peck at the leg, not the injured leg. Cricket is not mean.
That would
That
be such
mean.
a rude awakening. Yeah, great. Cesario, you wake up to Cricket poking you in the leg with their beak.
More head pats. Thanks, friend.
Friend.
Sorry, we'll get up and start taking his watch.
Great. Awesome. Roll perception for me as you set up for the second watch.
Four.
Yeah, you don't notice it. I mean, you don't notice anything. No. So I guess first question, what did you roll on the die?
4.
Okay, so you just have a plus 0. Okay, cool. It might make a difference if it was like a 1 or something.
No.
All right, so first question, does he just like set up in the shack? Does he go outside? What is his mode for taking watch?
Kind of leans up against like the open door frame and just stares out into the dark with his dark vision.
Yeah, so he kind of drifts mentally while he's on his watch and doesn't really keep great track of the surroundings or what's happening in the shack. He just finds himself staring up at the rain clouds, at the thunderclaps. Well, not at, you can't stare at sound. Staring at the lightning as it traces through the clouds and strikes. just sort of watching the storm. Roll a religion check for me.
Let's go with different dice. I kind of want this to go well. Okay. 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 Teen religion.
Good job spelling that too. So as you're staring up at the rain, sort of letting your thoughts drift, one hand idly goes to your symbol of Umberlee, and you just sort of trace the shape of the waves with your finger, just sort of absent-mindedly. And something tells you to turn around, to look back into the shack.
Does so slowly.
Yeah. As you turn around, there's a shape by the bed. Very vaguely humanoid. It's very, very non-distinct. But it's sort of staring at the bedside table, the crate that was used as a bedside table. And you see what looks like an arm reach for the book and the key that are right there and just pass through. And then it tries again and passes through. And there's this feeling of frustration and desperation that passes through you as you watch this entity continuing and failing at grabbing the thing. What do you do?
I'm getting frustrated watching him, or
Not like he's making you angry. More like you're feeling its emotions. You get sort of a vague sense of desperation and a vague sense of frustration. And your hand's still resting on your Umberlee amulet. You also have a sense, it feels like it's maybe coming from a different place, but you have a sense that maybe you need to help, or you should help. Yeah, the entity doesn't seem to have noticed or acknowledged any of you in the room. It seems focused squarely on the key.
I will go over. I'll get close to the entity, and if they respond at all.
Excuse me. Are you just standing behind it? Do you try to move to be in? Excuse me. To be in its eye line? What are you trying to do?
Try and go eye line for right now.
Okay. Yeah. You step around it and sort of stand next to the table to hopefully get in its line of sight. And this music is not right, but I don't have the chance to find a different song.
You're fine.
Yeah, you move in front of its eye line, and it's what looks like its hand sort of stops. It's sort of resting on the tabletop almost, although it's clearly not solid, so it's stopped there. And where its head would be sort of tracks up your form, your shape. And when its eyes reach the amulet of Umberlee, it just sort of points, and the sound of crashing waves and of the tide crashing on the beach sort of echoes in your head. Not as if you're hearing a sound, but more just like the thought
The
of
memory of.
the ocean is very, very vividly in your mind at the moment. And after a couple of seconds, the sounds of moving water sort of almost crystallize in your head, and it turns to a voice. Help!
Cesario will nod slowly and gesture to the key. This?
Yes. And it sort of like points to the book too, that's sitting right next to it.
He will pick them up.
Yeah. So, the book is a really simple, just leather-bound journal. The key, you note, actually bears the mark of Umberly. But the figure just, please help me.
Okay. Sure. Absolutely. He will open the spooky book.
So it's it is a journal of the person who used to live in this shack. The first few entries are typical sort of workaday type stuff. Today someone from town said I looked dumb, that kind of, just simple journal entries. As you're sort of skimming through, around the midway point, it shifts to the person talking about being called to the sea, feeling like they have a purpose to fulfill. They talk about wanting to join the Navy, wanting to sail. And sort of skim ahead a bit more. They talk about fighting on the deck of a ship and being visited. They say in the book, visited by the ocean in their dreams. And they mention swearing fealty to Umberly, although not by name, by her many epithets more than anything. But of course, you're familiar with them, so you have that association. But the journal goes on. They mention that they were ousted from their ship when their crewmates discovered that they were trying to worship Umberly. While no ship wants to incur her wrath, no ship wants to incur her sight either. They're never trying to attract her attention in any way. So this person seems to have been ousted from their ship. And the last entry, they mention wanting to throw their previous implements in the ocean and sort of making plans to do that. And they're in a locked box in the like armoire type piece of furniture. They mention wanting to, as a sort of tribute, throw their sailing gear, their weapons that they got from the Navy, into the ocean.
Okay.
And that's the last entry in the journal. Make a straight wisdom check for me.
Let's see here. Wisdom?
Mhm.
Okay. 18 wisdom.
Great. Yeah, so sort of adding things up in your head, you get the impression that the last thing this person was trying to do, the thing that they felt called to do and sort of wanted to do above most other things got interrupted by their death. And they've been returning to this spot with that same desperation, just holding on to that idea and trying to finish it for possibly years, for probably years, judging by the state of the shack. The voice returns to your head. Help me. And you get this sort of impression that that was a question.
Yes.
Thank you. There's a crack of light, or there's a flash of lightning that lights up the entire space. And right after your vision clears from that, the figure seems to be gone.
Cesario will go check the armoire.
Yeah. So yeah, underneath some simple clothes, some of them moth-eaten over the years. But under a pile of loose clothes, you do indeed find a small chest, a small locked box.
I will open it, make sure everything that he wanted tossed in the water is in there.
Yeah. You find a uniform, a saber, and a crossbow in there that all look like military issue. You also find a bag, a small sack that has 3 gold and a silver pendant in it, a locket. And
Can I open the locket?
yeah, so opening it, you see what looks like a half elf. It's a little painting of sorts. You see what looks like a half elf, little bits of blue around their hairline, tips of their ears. You see it sort of down their throat a little bit.
Yeah.
Looks like a young man. His short, dark hair that's just really messy, and the other side of the locket is a human woman. She looks, in this image, 30s or so. She also has dark hair, but hers is wavy and long, sort of laying down her shoulders. Yeah. You get the impression that this is probably the figure's mother and him. Perhaps before he moved out on his own. It's not super clear. There are no it didn't come with a booklet, but the inference you can make is that this is his mother and him.
Makes sense to me.
Go ahead, sorry.
He'll put everything away and put the lockbox in his bag.
Okay. Great. So yeah, make sure you mark that down. Do you add the coin to yours or anything of that sort?
No, it's gonna get buried.
Sure, makes sense. All right, great. Otherwise, is there anything you intend to do with your watch?
No, he'll secure it to his bag and then he'll go wake up Laurel.
Awesome. How do you wake up Laurel?
The same usual, just gentle tap on the shoulder in case she arises with the dawn.
All right. Yeah. So Laurel, you wake up.
Kind of flutter open.
I will say just real quick before you talk. Sorry. The dream. While you don't necessarily remember specifics of the dream, you do awake with this sense of desperation and this sense of frustration. And I will say, Cricket, as well, around the same time that this figure was there, your dreams also turned toward toward that emotion, toward desperation, toward frustration. Whatever that means to your character is up to you. But both of you experienced those emotions as well in your sleep.
All right. That being said, when Cesario touches her shoulder, she's going to awake with a start. Just gonna.
What? Is everyone okay? Is it time? The dawn. Is it the dawn? Is the dawn come?
Almost.
Okay, it's coming.
Everything's fine.
It'll be here.
It'll be
fine.
okay.
It'll be fine. It'll be okay. Okay, it's fine.
All right.
She'll slowly sit up, taking a few deep breaths. Her eyes are a little bit wider than expected, but she's kind of looking around, getting an idea of okay,
There's no light. The dawn isn't here yet. The dawn will be coming. The dawn will come. It will always come.
I feel like I've learned something about Laurel today. Great. Oh, turned on my desk fan, but it's been weirdly loud lately.
Oh, I thought that was just cricket snoring.
it is just cricket snoring.
Honestly, I was going to say something along the lines of I feel like if Cricket isn't having a very good dream, they jabber a little bit. So it works.
I guess I'm just not having a fan. All right. Laurel, you settle in for your watch a couple hours before dawn. Roll a perception check for me.
16.
Okay. Do you take your watch from inside the house? Do you walk out? How is your watch?
She'll probably spend the first part of it in the house, just kind of looking over everybody, making sure that they are as comfortable as they can be. But with the frustration and everything in her shoulders, she's kind of carrying this around as a anxious weight at the moment. So at some point she will step outside and just kind of look around, not really leaving the confines of the house, not closing the door, but looking around outside.
Sure. Yeah, so you step outside. You hear the occasional snap of a twig or rustling of branches nearby, as it seems like nocturnal things are returning to their places of rest and diurnal things are beginning to awaken.
She is keeping an active lookout on the horizon for the sunrise.
Great. Yeah, so once you've satisfied yourself that nothing is dangerous at the moment, you just direct eye contact, if there were eyes to make contact with. Just fixedly stare at the horizon until your eyes begin to sting. And slowly you see it light up. And you see the colors of the sky lighten. And eventually you see the yellow rim begin to peek over the edge. And the dawn does indeed come.
As the sun starts to rise, there's just this heavy sigh of relief coming from her. Just
From the darkness you emerge, bringing hope and renewal. Grant me strength and clarity as I face challenges that lie ahead. As the dawn brings forth a new beginning, may it also bring forth the vision to see opportunities and the courage to seize them with unwavering faith. As I embark on this day's journey, may your presence fill me with hope and optimism. Let me be a beacon of your radiance. Let me spread warmth and love and compassion in your name. Please.
Great. Take DM inspiration for that. You just pulled a prayer out of nowhere. Awesome. All right. The day begins anew. Each of you has had a long rest. And you set out toward Crossroads. You realize once you get back on the road and once visibility is no longer bound by the storm, that Crossroads is probably only half a day away or so. as you are coming into town, you do, of course, see the Harfeather Farm. The first thing you notice is there are a number of fields that you walk by as you are coming in. They seem to mostly be grains or perhaps corn growing, but a lot of the fences seem relatively new. They seem like they haven't been there very long. As you are moving toward the town, eventually you come across the farmhouse for the Harfeather Farm. A large old building. There are parts where the paint is faded or chipped away. You see a number of patch jobs in different places where a window was replaced, or the roof was repaired, or some other sort of bit of wear and tear was dealt with. It is currently a very, very light blue color, almost white. But you get the impression it may have been a much stronger color once upon a time. Regardless, as you are coming across the farmhouse, you also see some distance behind it a barn that similarly looks relatively new, no more than a few years old. Still bright red, still very strongly built, as far as you can tell. Near the barn, you see a number of cows, a number of cattle, fenced in, of course, but they've got a good amount of space to roam. Yeah, there's a herding dog that's running around the field right now, and as it sees you on the road, it runs to the fence, and its front paws are like on the top of the fence as it stands up on its hind legs and barks at you as you're walking down the road.
Dog.
Yes, that one is a dog, yes.
Good dog.
That we don't really know yet. We'd have to go check to see if it seems friendly. I wouldn't necessarily go and like offer my hand to it or something. It might bite.
Cesario, roll an insight check.
Okay. Save now. So many open tabs. Ha. 15. Insight?
Yes, please.
Insight.
19.
Great. So you're not super practiced at studying dogs, and maybe even animal body language in general is still fairly new to you. But something about the way this dog is behaving, it seems friendly. It seems nice. You see its tail wagging side to side. It seems to sort of almost scamper along the top rail with its front paws as you guys are walking past it, like it's sort of following you almost. And as you get a little further past it, it drops to all fours and just walks alongside you while behind the fence. Just still barking, its tongue sort of hanging out of its mouth as it's running along, and it seems like it has very bright body language, like it seems friendly as far as you can tell.
I'm gonna kind of like lean against the fence almost and kind of like look at the dog.
Yeah.
From the not lean against the fence. Kind of like kneel, crouch on the other side of the fence and just kind of look at the dog and just say, "Friend."
Sure. Make an animal handling check for me.
Oh boy.
No reward without risk.
Animal and animal 10.
Okay, that's not too bad. So you're kneeled next to the fence, sort of trying to be eye level with the dog, and it comes over, sniffs the air near you, paws the ground, sniffs, Its head tilts. It looks... I'll let this ride on the earlier insight, too. It looks confused at you, as if you smell like something it's not really familiar with.
That's fair.
just, yeah, fair enough, and then just leave it at that.
And I will do a thing. I will offer my hand to the pooch.
Great.
Not like through the fence, but close enough to where it can yield a sniff.
Yeah, so you hold your hand out, and it pokes its head through like the slats in the wood and just... I'm not gonna do that. That's bad. But it sniffs your hand a few times. It like gives an experimental like lick of your fingertips. And then it sort of like rubs its head against you. So we mentioned, sorry, a quick aside here. We mentioned before that your skin is always wet. Does that include your hands? I know that's a frequent like quirk of water genasi. Does that include your hands? Are your hands slightly damp?
He's wearing gloves, but he'll probably have taken them off. But yeah.
Okay, so it rubs its head against your hand, like it's trying to get pet. And when it realizes that your hands are wet, it like pulls back and just like runs its paw across its head a couple times, trying to like get the wet off of its fur, and it does not come back for another pet.
I do need to know, does this mean that Cesario's like fingertips are always pruned?
I don't think it works like that with water genasi.
I imagine his skin is like slick like a dolphin. Like it's not porous in the same way that like human skin is.
Interesting.
Yeah, slick. It's very, very slick.
Yeah, but not fast.
Awesome. All right. Are the two of you are Cricket and Laurel doing anything while Cesario appears to be trying to befriend a dog?
Cricket is going to go ahead and just take a bit defined of a look around the area, not necessarily looking for anything in particular, but just seeing if there are any people around or any other critters, anything shiny.
Great. Roll me a perception check.
9. Wait, can I use my DM inspiration on that?
If you want to, go for it.
Yeah. Worse, that's a 6. That would be a nat 1 on the inspiration, so I guess a 9 if we're sticking with the higher roll.
Unless you want the lower roll to be the one that sticks. I guess it's up to you.
It could be a little funny with the nat 1, so yeah, let's roll with the nat 1. Failures are fun.
Yeah, so Cesario is making friends with the dog, and you start very intensely looking at the ground a little further away, and you're sort of like with one clawed foot, just like scooping dirt around and sort of scraping around to see if there's anything interesting. And you're like hyper focused on it. Like everything else kind of shuts off for a minute. And as you're doing this, the dog is learning that Cesario is damp. And after it has, to its satisfaction, gotten the wet off of its head, it sees you poking around the fence and quickly runs toward you, barking loudly and a little bit more threateningly. Not like it's going to bite you, but more like it's doing its guard duty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a dog about the size of Cricket is running towards Cricket, barking loudly and slightly threateningly.
Oh dear.
the question is, does Cricket even notice with that nat 1 hyperfixation on dirt?
I, I you notice as the dog is like right in your face, like it's poking its nose by where your foot is and sort of like pawing at your foot as you're scraping around the dirt. So you do see it, and it is very loud, right close to you.
Cricket, kind of like just noticing it, gets a little bit spooked and just kind of like flaps their little wings and like jumps backwards a little bit. Their feathers are all ruffled. And they just kind of like look shocked at the dog over to the rest of the group and just like, friend?
What is
Friend.
Laurel doing?
Laurel is just kind of watching this, blinking a little bit at the whole thing. She's not entirely sure what's going on with all the animals. What's the deal with everybody and the animals? And she's kind of scratching her head on that. And we're like, okay, so Cesario doesn't know what a dog is. The dog doesn't seem to like Cricket. Cricket is a bird named after a bug. It's okay.
What was
She's
that?
kind of lost in her own kind of like mind, thinking about things. But does the dog seem like they're actually going to hurt Cricket, or are they just overexcited that Cricket exists?
So now that Cricket has backed up, the dog has quieted down a little bit. It is still like staring at Cricket. It is still barking, but it has its tone and body language have shifted a little bit now that Cricket no longer seems to be some dangerous interloper trying to get into the fence. It doesn't seem like it really intended to bite Cricket. It was trying to keep Cricket away. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Could Cricket, like, getting spooked by the dog, just very quickly, like, hop/scuttle the way that birds do back over to the rest of the group? Just like,
Yeah, absolutely.
not friend, not friend.
Yeah, Laurel's still standing in the middle of the road, just sort of like, I assume just sort of shaking her head slowly as she looks from dog to bird to
Yeah, she's just kind of like,
fishman.
you can think about kind of those cinematic moments where you have a character that walks into a scene and then they look at one thing happening and then you have a pan to them to looking at a different thing happening, and it's that kind of thing where she's just like staring, pan over to the next item, pan over the next item, with just a look of confusion on her face, like,
Okay, I suppose it's okay.
exactly, yes. Vice found the exact thing that I'm talking about.
Oh, did they share something in the Discord? Sorry, I'm not looking at
Yeah.
that right now, so I didn't.
Totally fair, but yeah, they shared something in the Discord, like, that's exactly the thing I was thinking about, where it's like, yes, exactly that.
Great, yeah. So things happen as described, and after a few seconds of the dog barking, it calms down a little bit. But you see, coming out of the back door of the farmhouse that opens into the field where the dog is, you see a halfling man come out. Give me just a second. Gonna switch over to my notes.
Notes are good. Notes
Indeed.
are helpful. Notes help us note and figure things out.
Yeah. Well, I had my phone up to the Twitch, and I needed to move from the Twitch to my notes, and that took a second. All right, great. So, coming out of the door is a halfling man, like I said. He also has dark hair, sort of slicked back, just like combed back. It's not like he has like a bouffant or anything. It's just combed back. It's graying on the sides. He has a bit of like gray stubble on his face. And as he's coming out of the door, he starts yelling at the dog, just, "Hey, Shelly, stop it! They're just travelers." And he comes bounding across the field, and she turns back toward him and meets him like halfway, tail wagging, circles around him as he's coming toward the fence. Sorry about that. Did she didn't nip you, did she? Are you good?
Yeah, good. Friend. Best pup.
Yeah, she's a good friend, all right. Sorry. Can I help you with something? You are a very unique lot. Look at you. Sorry. It's been a while since I've seen an interesting traveler. Can I help you with something? Did you need something from us?
Did we actually need anything, or were we just pausing on the way to Summit?
So, Harfeather Farm is where Sarah said you could get assistance if you wanted it. Sort of as a meager payment for helping her. She said if you told them what happened, you would potentially be offered help. If you want it, you can just keep going, of course.
We like things. It's like I'm pro help. Cesario or Cricket, do either of you want to explain that we're wanting help for saving Sarah?
I don't think it has enough words.
Yeah, I don't know
It's
if
just in the
Cesario can
background, kind of like,
articulate it appropriately.
It's also worth mentioning that Laurel was the one that really spoke to her the most, because if you'll remember, Cricket and Cesario laid back down to finish their long rest, and it was during Laurel's watch that the conversation with Sarah happened.
Well then, hello.
And she'll bow like 3 times respectfully, just kind of making sure that like,
It's good to meet you. We came across a friend of yours, daughter, wife. I'm not entirely sure. Her name's Sarah.
Sarah.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't catch your names. I'm Toric Harfeather.
Oh, hello, Toric.
more bowing.
My name's Laurel. This is my friend and compatriot. This is Cricket. And this is Cesario.
It's good to meet you. Sorry, what'd you say about Sarah? That's my daughter. What happened?
Your daughter. Well, she was delivering some grain, I think, and she got thrown off the track. Ended up crashing her cart, but we were able to save her and help her to get back. And she said that, she should be okay. Wanted to make sure that you knew that she should be okay. But, wanted us to pass along the message, and she said that if we needed anything, you might be able to assist.
He sort of tilts his head. Just to see what his general vibe of you is. Roll a... Let's call it a persuasion check. Great.
18.
So yeah, he sees the symbol of Lathander as well. Right? Lathander?
Lathander, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, first, I immediately second-guessed myself for some reason.
I always want to say Lysander, and it's not. It's Lathander.
No, that's the
so
Shakespeare
yeah.
character.
Details.
Okay, yeah. So he sees the symbol of Lathander, and I mean, Lathander is a very well-known and very revered god. Sun gods usually are. So, or Dawn? Is he Dawn specifically, or is he the sun more generally?
He is like the dawn bringer. He's all about creativity. He's all about inspiration, rebirth, all that type of things. I don't think he's technically the sun. I think he's just like the personification of everything that happens with the rising sun.
Yeah.
Right.
In Barovia, he's known as the Morning Lord.
Yeah.
Great. So yeah, he sees your pendant and listens. Right. Here, come with me. The missus is gonna want to hear all this too. Yes, you are of course welcome.
Of course.
Thank you so much for helping Sarah. Come in. And he leads you to the gate, opens the gate so you can get in, and he's like holding the dog back by her collar with one hand as you guys come in. This here's Shelly. She'll bark until the cows come home, literally. But
Is
she's
she a
scared
herding
off
dog?
quite a few coyotes too.
That's really good for her.
What's a coyote?
It's like a big, mean, land dog.
Like the other dog?
No, like a big mean land dog.
Like the other dog.
No, that other dog was a bear. It's a very different thing.
But you literally
Right.
told him it was a dog.
But
You
it's
confirmed
not
it
a
was a dog.
It's not a. It's different than a dog. It's a bear. I have to teach all of the animals now, and it's going to be a thing.
The milky dog says moo.
She's gonna start making us her own speak and say and just hand it over to Cesario.
Great. He just kind of watches that exchange with an amused look on his face. Come on, sorry. And as you are walking in, he calls out, Ella, we have visitors. Please take a seat. And he sort of leads you to the dining room. And now that you're inside, the inside is a lot better maintained than the outside. But it also probably sees a lot less damage. It's a fairly rustic space. It looks very well lived in. The furniture has, divots from years and years of use. The pots and pans are all dinged up from being used a lot, and the dishes have the odd chip or crack in them. This is somewhere where this family's clearly lived for a long, long time, and they've used the same stuff most of that time as well. But as you're all sitting down, he sort of quickly grabs like a pitcher of water and some cups and sets those down. And as he's finishing that up, a halfling woman comes up from the cellar. She's, like I said, she's a halfling. She looks a little bit older than Torek. Her hair is a curly, like solid white, and she's got it like pulled back behind a bandana. It looks longer, like past her shoulders. But also one of the first things that you notice is she has just huge, bright blue eyes, really, really pretty blue eyes. And she's wearing an apron that she has embroidered, that has just like, it looks like the mountains that are, bisect the island. Like she's sort of embroidered those on the thing. And the front of the apron is covered in like wood chips and shavings. And she's got like a half-carved wooden spoon in one hand. What's going on? Oh, visitors, right. Hello. Can I help you? What can I do for you?
Laurel
And she
immediately
like
bows like 3 times again. Like,
Oh, it's great to meet you. You're a fantastic artist. What sort of artistry do you tend to do? Is it something you like the sculpting? Do you like it's beautiful. Did you do the embroidery yourself? I mean,
oh, thank you. Yeah, no, yeah, the embroidery is kind of a hobby, but it's also practical because like I sew and things like that too. And she keeps sort of starting and stopping and like stuttering a little because she keeps looking between Cesario and Cricket. She doesn't look like she's accusing or anything like that. It's just Cesario is bright blue and Cricket is a bird. So she's clearly unaccustomed to either. But she keeps sort of nodding along and saying what she needs to say. And yeah, no, sorry again. Can I help you? I'm Ella, by the way, Ella Harfeather. What are you?
hello, Ella. Well, as I was telling your husband, we came across your daughter Sarah, delivering grains. She got into a little bit of an accident, ran her cart off, kind of crashed into. She's okay though. She's fine. We helped her get back on track, get going. But she said that if we wanted to come, we're on our way to Summit. And she told us that if we stopped by, we could just like tell you that she's okay, she's fine. And if we needed anything, that you might be able to be of some assistance.
Oh yes, of course. Hey, you have to stay for dinner. Are you in a hurry? Where are you going? I'm sorry.
well, we're headed to Summit to catch
Is that
the
right?
boat. Yeah, and we're gonna go to Tyr'Sol.
Really? What's... I'm sorry for prying, but why are you going to Tyr'Sol?
Well, we aren't 100% sure. We're just kind of out scouting it right now. See what we can find, see what we learn, see what we can bring back and
Right.
tell others.
We're with the guild.
Oh! And then, like, her eye catches the badges that each of you have displayed on your person. Right! Oh, it's been a while since we've seen one come through. Great. You have to stay for dinner. Can you stay for dinner?
I
If we have to.
Yeah, I think we can stay for dinner.
Great. Here, I'm gonna go get started on things. And she sort of like sets the half-carved spoon on the table and just leaves it and goes into the kitchen and starts preparing food. And Torek just takes a seat at the table. Right. I'm actually going to Summit tomorrow. Do you want to ride with me?
That would be so cool.
Friend?
I'd
Friend.
like to think so.
Friend.
You seem to be friends. Here. Tell you what. You just help me around the farm a little bit, just to kill some time today, and we'll have dinner, and then you guys can stay here for the night, and in the morning we'll set out for Summit in the cart, yeah?
Sure.
That'll be very helpful, thank you.
Yeah, not a problem at all. It'll be nice to have a bit of extra help. It's been a long season. Do any of you? I'm so sorry. This is an uncouth question, but what are you? And he looks between Cricket and Cesario. You are very unique to me. I've never seen anything like either of you.
Thank you. I'm Cesario.
Cricket kind of looks down at themselves and they're just like, Cricket?
Well, you know what? It's not my place. I'm gonna go help her with dinner, and then... Well, no, because it's... Come on, let's go out in the field. I'll find something for you to do, and we'll all come back with a heck of an appetite after a day's work. Come on. And he sort of like leads you guys out back into the field. So, what sorts of jobs on the farm do you think each of you would do? Based on sort of your physical abilities and your stuff. What sorts of things do you think you could do on a farm?
Cesario is very strong.
Strong,
okay. Great.
I think Laurel would be most interested in starting to plant seeds, maybe like cultivating things, bring them up from seedlings, see if there's anything more aesthetic she could be working on.
Sure. So I'll say he has Cesario helping build fences, helping build some of the additional fences between the fields. And as you say, Laurel works on helping guide the seedlings, watering things, making sure things are fertilized, that sort of thing. What would Cricket likely do?
I feel like Cricket would be almost in between, like helping feed some of the livestock, because I feel like that would be somewhat easy for small bird to do. Either that or would probably help Laurel with pecking holes into the dirt for the seeds.
Great.
Maybe
yeah. So
snacking a couple seeds herself too,
just an occasional little snack.
Yeah. So at first, he takes you to sort of help feed the animals, but the cart that he uses to sort of haul the feed around just to make things a bit easier, sort of like a rickshaw, type arrangement. When it seems like you can't really pull that very easily, he absolutely encourages you to help Laurel, and you do as you say. So, just for fun, Cesario, roll me a strength check. Just straight strength.
Okay.
Laurel.
We can also do like hay bales and stuff as well.
Great. Laurel, roll me either charisma or intelligence, your choice. Because you said it was partly like aesthetic, like you're sort of going by the lines, going by the feel of it. So roll either charisma
Definitely
or
going
intelligence.
charisma.
Okay. And then Cricket, roll dexterity for me. Or if you want, you can. Well, I was going to say you can give assistance to Laurel. Like you can give Laurel the help action if you'd rather.
I'll go ahead and give Laurel that help action.
Thank you.
um,
Things I'm supposed to be good at.
Much better.
17, that's better.
All right. So yeah, Cesario, you make fairly quick work. You get quite a few fences built. And once you've built a few and sort of lined the spot where he wanted you to line, he does shift you to moving like hay bales and other sorts of heavy things. And you work away the afternoon doing that. Laurel and Cricket. Initially, the farm work isn't suited to you. You do your best sort of following the patterns that were set out in the other fields and sort of trying to emulate that, but it's not quite working out. Fortunately for you, before you've really got started in it too much, Cricket comes over, having been unable to do the other job. They start helping you line up the holes and helping make sure things are evenly spaced. And the two of you make fairly efficient work, planting a few rows in the field. All of you return to the farmhouse after a hard day's work, sweaty, sore, and ready for a hot home-cooked meal. It seems like she's, like Ella has prepared a hearty stew. It seems like she was not really prepared to feed extra mouths, so she sort of threw something simple and straightforward together. So it's, got all the usual veggies and some seared beef, that sort of thing. It's quite good, and each of you has a bath, has a good meal, and a good night's rest in a real bed. And that is where we will end tonight's session. For this segment, we will be going into a short break, and then we will return after the break with the second part of our stream, the For Hire game, DM'd by the wonderful Tiff. All right, give me just a moment here.
See you guys soon.